You're still live on your election headquarters here on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. Now, one house, 1 meter. Sounds familiar, isn't it? Well, the communication in the presidential campaigns and politics is getting a lot more interesting. Well, today, President John Mahama is continuing his tour of the Central Region, his campaign tour, and he has been interacting with residents of Diako in the Cape Coast North constituency, addressing a rally, the promise of some 1,500 meters for residents of Cape Coast North came as a promise by the president with a very special tag.
Taxi run for a whole entity. Now, also, the Ama contract, a fee Johnson, adequate to fly. Contractor Nubeba. We have catching there, also finance here. Taxi rank for no, offer asphalt to be near the Abraham, living a half percent. Our model, ever electricity assembly. Nipa bebre when you meter na adani bebre wa share meter ko if you catch out there one man meter 1,500 if you catch there one man meter 1,500 then a dime meter separate. Simbiaba, anti Dema Mikai, a whistle stop. Yarin check, Mibeyinia, Ojina, Za, Wakanakwa, and Za, only a Abatwa, Yercha ballot paper, not to Mahama, Zu, Wama Parliamentia, not to Kobia Champon, Za, Mahama Zu, a champion, Za, Mahama Zu. A champion, Mama, a champion. Aha, don't worry, that's what I say. 80, no, it's not my role. Cape Coast North constituency. I mean, Ora for the champion. To Mahama Zoo, a champion, Mahama Zoo, a champion, Mahama, a champion. Aha, don't worry. Ezu.
Well, the president is busy in the Central Region, but his vice, Parkwesi Mr. Arthur, is also leading a crunch meeting of NDC parliamentary candidates. In fact, he did that earlier today with the district chief executives and also the party executives at the Mole Game Reserve in Damongo. We know that he has begun the 5-day campaign tour of that region, also trying to mop up enough votes as they seek to win the elections in December. Also on the campaign trail, the Convention People's Party have been busy in the Volta region, trying to also win some minds and hearts. Quite a battleground, if you ask me, the Volta region. While Ivor Greenstreet has been busy convincing the people of the region to vote for him in this year's elections.
Having been coming to this region as General Secretary and now as presidential candidate on a number of occasions, I can say without fear or favor and without any equivocation that the Volta region is the cleanest region in the whole of Ghana. And whatever you are doing to ensure and maintain that this region is the cleanest region in Ghana is something that needs to be understood and emulated by the other regions in Ghana. Because this region, when you travel through it, has so much that God has bequeathed it in terms of its fertile lands, in terms of its access to water resources, in terms of its strong human beings, and therefore the region is supposed to be far, far, far more richer than it is. There is so much opportunity that exists in this region, which we have to take advantage of and ensure that the people of this region benefit from those resources and ensure that they have better lives and a better progress and opportunity than they are receiving at the moment. Hey.
Right then, so that's Ivor Greenstreet in the Volta region, still trying to garner as much minds to vote for him in this year's election. But let's return to what is now becoming a trend of that number: one man, 1 meter, one village, one dam, one district, one factory. Is this a new political strategy being adopted in the country by these political parties? Is that a magic wand for messages as we head for this election? Let's speak to Dr. Eric Opoku-Mensah. He's a political communications lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. He's joining us online for more analysis on this. Good afternoon to you, Doc.
Yeah, good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners as well.
Now, some say keep it short and simple, it might work, but is the 1 man, 1 meter, 1 district, 1 factory, is that a good way of communicating a campaign message to convince people to vote for you?
Yeah, I think it comes out quite handy, and it's something that's easy to be remembered by the electorate. But what I'm afraid is the sheer promising by the major political parties, respectively the NDC and the NPC. I am particularly worried about this way of promising. It looks as if it's getting a little out of hand, because really one tends to look at it and wonder whether there is a possibility of fulfilling all these numerous promises. I think for me it's a little dangerous, because once you keep on promising, and people get to a point where they begin to think this whole promises are laughable, then really what you are doing is not only trying to persuade, but what you are doing is actually getting the people to see this as a bit of a comedy.
No, but again, Doc, it's interesting you say that, because in past elections, it has been a season of promises everywhere you go, considering the kind of electorate you have, more than 50% not being the regular literate you would expect to listen to the issues and decide. So maybe, just maybe, the simplicity of the messages can work to good effect, can't it?
No, I think that, yes, since 1992, we always would hear of promises on the campaign platform. But I think that largely a lot of people see this year's campaign promises as quite wow. It's like, promises coming out of the blue. And I wonder whether the parties respectfully have actually thought about this. Because now, if you pay attention to what people are saying, really, it's like everybody is like promising, and therefore it is becoming a kind of a comedy, and I think it's worrying. But with the message being that simple, naturally, I think it's a good political message. But where everybody is saying the same thing, one village this, 1 man this, 1 man that, I think that it is veering off from persuasive ability into the realm of comedy. And for me, that is a little dangerous for our democracy, where people now see that these politicians are kind of taking us for granted. People don't take you serious. And when the citizens, largely people get to know that these people are just playing tricks on us, the politicians will then tend to lose that credibility they are supposed to have, especially during an election year where a platform is created for serious deliberation on national issues. I think the promises are way too many, and I don't think that well-meaning Ghanaians are really going to take these promises seriously. And this is across board, especially for the two major political parties. Okay,
now let's look at the other part to this. The use of the expression, one man, one that, one district, one factory, one house, 1 meter. Are we likely to see that time when people will begin to say that, well, you are stealing my way of couching messages as we look at the promises being made ahead of this election?
I didn't get you.
I'm saying that now you're seeing the one man, one one man, one house, 1 meter, one district, one factory. Is that a possibility that we might begin to see a question of intellectual property coming in at this point, where parties will be jostling each other for who is stealing whose ideas and how to couch messages?
Well, I don't think so. I think that it's also quite strategic. I don't want to talk about who started it first, but it's quite strategic that, once that phrase is catching on, you also want to do something similar. And really, I think that what the electorate need is a message that is memorable. That's part of the persuasive strategy that you want to do. But I don't think that any party can say, I started it and therefore I have, should I call it a verbal patent or whatever, a particular phrase. But I think it's quite interesting what is happening to political messaging, especially this time round. But I think that beyond the interest of the phrase, the essence of the promises is what, for me, it is crucial. And that is the fact that these numerous promises, is leading our campaign into a very dangerous arena where people begin to take politicians as less serious. Because I must confess that actually when I hear these one man this, one man that, I'm really in a doubt as to whether they are capable or they've actually quantified everything in monetary terms and they have the ability to, the parties or the country has ability to fulfill these things under a particular party's leadership in next year. I mean, I'm really wondering, and I think that we can't do our campaign and get people to understand and appreciate our party's point of view without necessarily promising so many public goods.
Okay, but again, Doc, let me ask this, because you look at every election, the targets, and I'm sure that for most of these political parties, they do this tailoring their messages specifically for the audience intended. Maybe it's a strategy that can work, considering, as I mentioned earlier, the audience. More than 50% of the electorate we have are not literate. That will mean that the simpler your message, the better your chance of having that person understand and get your buy-in. Is that not what the parties are doing here?
I agree. I agree that as part of sending your message across and getting it into the minds of the electorate, it ought to be simple. But I do not think that making your message simple should be devoid of what you call it, the political reality on the ground. So for me, as I indicated earlier, the message is simple. That is good. But where, even though the message is simple, but then the inherent promise is something that people begin to doubt whether you can fulfill, becomes problematic. So message being simple is a plus. It's good. I mean, any serious political party intending to annex political power need not have very long, windy messages, which people just listen and do not remember the following minute. That is simple. But I think that going beyond that, are these parties able, looking at our own economic and financial situation as a country, fulfill these promises? That I'm afraid, I think that the ordinary person will begin to examine this and feel that these people are just having fun with us.
Thank you for your time, Dr. Eric Opoku-Mensah. He's a political communications lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, sharing his thoughts with us here on the issue of the promises and how they are being cast.